Meet Bjorn, a thrall on a farm in Viking Scandinavia. His life is a tapestry of toil under the harsh glare of the sun. He tends fields, weathers storms, and endures the icy grip of winter nights. Life is a constant battle against the elements, and sleep offers little respite. Dreams of daring raids and legendary treasures dance just beyond his grasp, tantalizing him with their allure. One night, a raven's harsh cry pierces the silence, a sound that speaks of both death and distant lands. In the grim light of dawn, Ern learns that Einar, his master, has perished, leaving behind a legacy of debt and a widow, Astrid, who now holds the fate of the farm in her hands. She stands at a crossroads, burdened by the prospect of losing the farm, of becoming a thrall herself, or worse, facing the wrath of the ruthless loan shark Gorm. As the sun climbs higher, casting long shadows across the land, Astrid summons her strength. With the weight of her late husband's debts pressing heavily on her soul, she makes a fateful decision. She will seek out Gorm and strike a deal, mortgaging her farm in exchange for the silver she needs to pay off her late husband's loans. When a glimmer of hope remains. If within 3 years she can repay the debt with interest, she can reclaim her farm. Otherwise, it will become Gorm's. Meanwhile, young Born, yearning for a life beyond servitude, watches the unfolding drama with a mixture of fear and admiration for Astrid. As the midday sun blazes overhead, Astrid sets out on her journey to Gorm's stronghold. The path ahead is fraught with uncertainty, but her determination is unwavering. In Gorm's hall, she faces a harrowing ordeal. The loan shark's greed knows no bounds, and he offers her a choice: submit to his advances or lose her farm. Back at the farm, Byron grapples with the news of Astrid's absence and the looming threat posed by Gorm. Time, it seems, is running out. Just as despair begins to take hold, inspiration strikes. There's a hidden stash of silver in the old well, a secret known only to Byron. It could be their salvation, enough to pay off the debts and perhaps even buy back the farm. With newfound purpose, Byron gathers his fellow thralls, and together they prepare to confront Gorm. The final scene unfolds under the watchful gaze of the Raven Banner, symbolizing both death and rebirth. Astrid, standing defiant before Gorm, reveals her secret, using the hidden silver to not only pay off the debts, but also buy back the farm. The air crackles with tension as Gorm, realizing he's been outwitted, vows revenge. But for now, Astrid and Byron stand victorious. The weight of their triumph settles upon them like a heavy cloak as they acknowledge the cost of their victory. Astrid, once on the brink of ruin, now finds herself in a precarious position. While she has retained her farm, the shadow of Gorm's threat looms large, a constant reminder of her vulnerability. The hard-won victory leaves a bitter taste in her mouth, a stark contrast to the sweet relief of her triumph. Now, the daunting task of rebuilding and protecting what she has won begins. In the distance, a lone figure emerges, silhouetted against the setting sun. It's Rogan, Astrid's brother, returning from a long voyage. Relief floods Astrid's face as she recognizes him. He is not only a symbol of familial support, but also brings with him the promise of additional manpower and resources. Together, Astrid and Rogan survey the damage wrought by Gorm's attack. They have much to rebuild, but there's a grim satisfaction in knowing that they now stand together, ready to face whatever challenges lie ahead. As the last embers of daylight fade, leaving the farm in a sea of darkness, Astrid and Rogan take stock of their losses. They are alone in this struggle, relying solely on their wits and courage to survive. The full weight of Astrid's gamble against Golem, the ruthless loan shark, presses down on her. Can she and her brother overcome the odds and secure their future? Or will Gorm's long shadow eventually engulf them? Only time will tell. And so, our journey through the saga of Astrid and Byron draws to a close tonight. Their tale, a stark reminder of the harsh realities of Viking Scandinavia, where life was a constant battle against the elements and powerful forces sought to exploit the weak. And now, as the echoes of their story fade into the night, I invite you to bring your own tales to this channel. Share your stories of resilience, courage, and survival. For in sharing, we find strength. And here, beneath the vast expanse of the night sky, where the wind whispers secrets of the past and the stars serve as silent witnesses, we come to the end of another episode. If you found solace in this episode, don't hesitate to show your support. Your engagement fuels our journey, guiding us through uncharted waters, allowing us to keep our content free for all. Before we part ways, I leave you with a thought. In the darkest of times, the faintest glimmer of hope can light the way. Until next time, may the stories we share be a source of comfort, strength, and inspiration in these turbulent times. Sleep well, my friends. You wake before the sun, the air so sharp with frost it stings your lungs. You pull your thin blanket tighter around your shoulders, but there is no escaping the cold. Not here, not anywhere. In the distance, you hear the bleating of sheep and the lowing of cattle. It is a sound that has become the soundtrack of your life, a mournful symphony that accompanies you from birth to death. You are a thrall, a slave in 9th century Norway, and your day begins as the other slave's day does, with a prayer to the one true God that he will grant you the strength to endure. You pad softly to the door and push it open, the hinges groaning in protest. Outside, the world is just beginning to stir. The sky is the color of old bruises, heavy with the promise of snow. The wind whispers through the bare branches of the trees, and you shiver, pulling your ragged cloak tighter around you. Your master's house is a large structure of wood and stone, and the air around it is thick with the scent of damp wood and sour wool. Inside, a fire is just beginning to glow in the hearth, and the room is filled with the comforting crackle of burning logs. But there is little joy to be found here, for this is a place of sorrow and despair. Your fellow thralls huddle in the corner, their eyes downcast, their bodies bent with the weight of their burdens. One of the women looks up as you enter, and a flicker of recognition passes between you. For a moment, you are both lost in the memory of a time before, a time when you were free. But the past is a distant echo now, and the present is all that matters. You are here, and there is nothing else. As the hours pass, the fire grows, the scent of wood smoke curling lazily towards the rafters. The men begin to stir, their faces grim and determined. They rise, stretch their cramped muscles, and prepare for the day's work ahead. Soon they will be gone, their voices echoing in the vast emptiness that surrounds you. And you will be left alone in the silence, waiting for their return. When the men are gone, the women take over the household chores. There is little conversation, only the rhythmic clatter of pots and pans as they prepare the evening meal. The children, too, have their tasks, and even the youngest are expected to do their part. Life here is hard, but it is a small price to pay for survival. As the sun begins its slow descent, the sky blazed with hues of red and orange, painting a masterpiece of fleeting beauty across the heavens. But there is no time to stand and marvel at the view. There is work to be done. The animals must be fed, the fires stoked, and the defenses checked. For even in this remote corner of the world, danger lurks at every turn. Bandits and marauders roam the land, preying on the weak and vulnerable. And the Longhouse, with its scattered population and limited defenses, is an easy target. As the shadows lengthen and the temperature drops, the inhabitants of the Longhouse draw closer together for warmth and safety. The flickering flames cast dancing shadows on the walls, creating an eerie, ever-changing spectacle. Despite the looming dangers, there is a strange sense of community here, a bond forged in the crucible of hardship and sacrifice. The sun, a pale ghost behind the clouds, offers little warmth. You pull your thin shawl tighter, trying to shut out the biting wind that whistles through the cracks in your hut. But no matter how tight you pull the rough wool, the cold seeps through, clinging to your bones. Your morning begins with the stubborn earth, frozen hard beneath a thin crust of snow. You grip a crude wooden hoe, its weight familiar but heavy in your hands. With each swing, you break the earth, planting barley or rye, whatever seed the soil will accept. The wind howls off the fjord, carrying the sting of salt and ice. It bites at your exposed skin, at the worn leather of your gloves, and at the homespun wool of your clothes, offering little protection against the relentless cold. The wind is your constant companion, a wild, lonely sound that echoes across the empty fields. Hours pass. Your shoulders ache with each swing of the hoe. You wipe the sweat from your brow, more a ritual than anything else, for what little comfort it brings. The sun, a pale ghost behind the clouds, offers little warmth. You pull your thin shawl tighter, trying to shut out the biting wind that whistles through the cracks in your hut. But no matter how tight you pull the rough wool, the cold seeps through, clinging to your bones. You look up, seeking solace in the endless expanse of sky, but the clouds offer no comfort, only the promise of more biting wind and rain. The mountains stand jagged and stark against the gray, their peaks wreathed in mist. They are both beautiful and unforgiving, much like the life you lead. As the light begins to fade, you straighten, your muscles protesting. The fields seem to stretch endlessly before you, framing your small life within their vastness. It is a hard life, a lonely life, but it is yours. And in the rhythm of the seasons, in the feel of the soil beneath your fingernails, in the endless cycle of planting and harvesting, you find a strange sort of peace. This is your daily life. This is your story. What will you do next? When the fields are done, your master might send you to the shore, where the fjord's icy waters lap against rocky banks. Here you haul in nets heavy with fish, their scales glinting like silver in the weak sunlight. The water soaks your legs, chilling you to the bone, and the nets chafe your hands, leaving them raw. You work alongside other thralls, their faces etched with the same quiet endurance. Conversation is sparse. There's little energy for words when survival demands every ounce of strength. The air smells of brine and seaweed, mingling with the faint smoke of a distant fire where your master's household warms itself. You, however, have no such luxury. In the rare moments when your gaze is not fixed on the unending gray expanse of sea or sky, you steal glances at the towering cliffs that rise like stone teeth from the churning water. Even here, at the edge of the world, the mountains seem to claw at the heavens, a constant, unyielding presence that has stood the test of time. The icy wind whips at your cloak, carrying with it the cries of gulls and the distant thunder of the sea. The cold seeps through your worn clothing, numbing your fingers and making each breath a shallow gasp. Your teeth chatter, but you dare not stop to warm yourself, not when there are fish to be hauled in and nets to be mended. There is no rest for the weary here at the edge of the world. As the day wears on, the sky begins its slow shift from gray to a deeper shade of blue, the color of the endless sea above and the fathomless depths below. The sun, a pale ghost in the vast expanse, offers little warmth, but the chill of the evening is a small price to pay for the bounty of the sea. For here, where land and water meet, life teems in the icy depths. The haul today is good, and as the last of the daylight fades, you return to the shore empty-handed, your quota of fish secured. The other thralls are already gone, vanished into the gloom of the mountain pass leading back to the village. But you linger, gazing out at the restless sea. The mountains are shrouded in mist, and the path back seems unclear. Fear, cold, and hunger gnawing at your belly. You know that if you do not push on, the darkness will consume you. And so you turn away from the sea and begin the long, arduous trek back to your master's house, each step echoing the weariness of 1,000 lifetimes. You awake with a gasp, heart pounding, eyes wide. The nightmare is over. You are safe now. Or are you? In the harsh world of the Viking Age, there is no respite from punishment. A spilled basket of grain, a moment's rest taken too long, or a glance that is deemed insolent, could bring the lash of a whip or a sharp command to kneel in the cold. Your master, a Viking farmer or warrior, holds absolute power. To disobey is to risk a beating, perhaps a broken bone or worse, the loss of a hand or foot, a grim reminder of one's place. Some thralls, desperate for freedom, flee into the forests, but the wilderness is no kinder than captivity. Wolves prowl the hills and hunger is a relentless pursuer. Capture means death, often slow and public, a warning to others. The memory of that last slave auction still haunts you. You were separated from your family, paraded like a horse for all to see, then sold. The weight of iron shackles, real or imagined, binds you to this life. And even in your dreams, the memory of cold, hard iron jangles in your ears. Now go to the hearth and light the fire. The morning mist is heavy. The time has come to begin your work. The rhythmic clang of hammer on iron echoes through the hall. As a young Viking, you have come to the settlement to learn the secrets of the smith's craft. For 3 years you have toiled, your muscles aching, sweat stinging your eyes, all for the glory of one day creating beautiful works of art from raw materials. But the reality is that most of what you make will be tools, weapons, and horseshoes. Still, there is pride in your work, a satisfaction that comes from a job well done. As the sun climbs higher, so does the temperature. Soon beads of sweat trickle down your face. By midday, the heat is stifling. Even the animals seek shade, and the rhythmic work slows. Now the hunt is more than just a test of skill. It is a battle against the elements. The rain-swollen ground sucks at your feet, and the biting wind steals the warmth from your cloak. The trees offer little protection from the elements, and the prey is harder to find. Hunger and thirst gnaw at your belly, urging you on. But it is not just the physical challenges that test you. It is also a mental game, a battle of patience and strategy. You must outsmart both the elements and your quarry. And when the moment of capture comes, it is all the sweeter for the effort. The village is your home. It has been 10 years since you arrived as a young boy, eager to learn the ways of the Vikings. In that time, you have grown tall and strong. your spirit as resilient as the Norse oak. Your instructors have been harsh, demanding the best from you, pushing you to excel in everything from fighting to sailing to trading. The village, with its mead hall and longhouses, has seen many a brawl. But as a shield wall, you stood firm, protecting your people. You have traded with far-off settlements, bartered for goods and stories. You have sailed the seas, feeling the spray of the North Sea on your face, tasting the salt of adventure on your lips. The village is where your story began, and here, too, you have found love. Astrid, with her laughter like running water and eyes like the summer sky, is your anchor. Your son, Gorn, is the pride of your heart, a constant reminder of the future. But lately, whispers of war have reached even this peaceful village, and the shadow of conflict looms on the horizon. Meals are meager, a small portion of barley porridge or stale bread, sometimes flavored with a scrap of fish or cheese. You eat quickly, crouched near the hearth's dying embers, the warmth fleeting before you're sent back to work. Perhaps you're tasked with chopping wood, the axe's handle worn smooth by countless hands before yours. Each swing jars your arms. A thud of blade on wood echoes in the quiet valley. The forest around you is dense, its pines whispering in the wind, but there's no time to linger in its beauty. Your master's household depends on your labor. Wood for fires, crops for food, fish for trade. You are the foundation of their survival, yet your own is never certain. There are two ways to end this servitude. The first, a brutal test of strength and endurance. You will fight in the pit against another slave, and may the best of us win. Or perhaps you'll be given a chance to prove your worth. A lord or lady of the realm will visit your master's estate, and if you can impress them with your skills, well, that could lead to freedom. Of course, there's always escape, running away into the forest, though what good that will do, you're not sure. And besides, where would you go? Every farm, every village, every holding is the same. A life of servitude is all you've ever known. The thought of being free is a distant, almost forgotten memory. You are a slave. The only thing that keeps you alive is hope. Hope for a better life, hope for an end to your misery, hope for freedom. But hope is all you'll ever have. For as long as you live, you will remain a slave. Your life is hard, brutal, and short. There's nothing ahead but darkness. So you keep chopping wood, the rhythm of your servitude. The sun dips below the horizon, painting the sky in hues of orange and purple. The forest grows quiet. The pines stand tall and proud, their branches reaching towards the heavens. For a moment, you are lost in the beauty of the forest. You close your eyes and take a deep breath. The scent of pine needles and damp earth fills your lungs. It's a feeling you've known for a lifetime, yet somehow it feels new. You open your eyes and look around. The trees seem to be watching you, their branches like gnarled fingers pointing towards the sky. For a moment, you feel free. Then you hear a twig snap. You turn and see a pair of eyes staring at you from the trees. In an instant, your freedom is gone. You run, crashing through the underbrush, the forest suddenly dark and menacing. You don't dare look back. You don't want to know how close he was. You burst out of the trees and collapse on the ground, gasping for breath. You lie there for a moment, your heart pounding in your chest. Then you get up and run. You don't know where you're going, but you don't care. You just need to get away from that forest. As you run, you can hear the voice of the woodsman echoing behind you. He's coming after you, and there's nothing you can do to stop him. The threat of raids hangs heavy. a constant fear that the other Viking clans might sweep through the fjord, their longships slicing through the water like a scythe through wheat. If they come, you're defenseless. Your life is worth less than the livestock you tend. Some thralls are taken, traded, or sacrificed in rituals to appease the gods. Whispers of such rites, offerings to Odin or Freyr, circulate among the thralls. Though you've seen little of the ceremonies yourself, the gods feel distant. Their favor is reserved for those who hold your chains. You've heard stories of the raids from the men who've been taken. First, there's the longboat coming up the river, silent and deadly. Then the screams when the warriors arrive at the long haul. The smell of blood and fear, the taste of it in the back of your throat as you hide in the corner of the longhouse with the other thralls, trying to make yourself small, hoping you won't be seen. Some of the men taken in the raids are lucky. They're sent to work in another village, their punishment for disobedience or failure less than death. You envy their luck, knowing that many of the thralls taken never come back. When the men return from a raid, they bring tales of battles and victories, of lands far away and riches brought home. The Jarl, the leader of the clan, grows wealthier, his power greater. And you, a nameless thrall, have no story to tell but the endless cycle of fetching and carrying, planting and harvesting. Your life here is a bleak one, your spirit broken, your body aching from hard labor. But still, day after day, you wake with the sun and follow the others out into the fields. There is a rhythm to your life here, an unbroken one that lulls you into a false sense of security. Each day is the same, each task blending into the next. There is little time to think, to remember a time before, or to plan a future that seems as dark as the endless nights of winter. When the cold winds of autumn begin to blow, you huddle around the fire pit with the other thralls, each of you lost in the flickering flames, the silence broken only by the crackle of burning wood and the distant cry of a lone bird. In the darkness, fear takes hold. Fear of the raids, fear of the gods, fear of a future that looks as bleak as the winter ahead. But the fire gives way to darkness, and the night grows deep. You pull your thin blanket tighter around your shoulders and try to sleep, dreaming of fields of gold and the open sea, a longing for freedom in your heart. The longboat cuts through the waves like a hungry wolf, its prow sniffing out the rich scent of plunder. On board are 60 elite Viking warriors, their eyes gleaming with the promise of adventure. Their leader, a legendary figure known as Ragnar Lothbrok, half god, half man, son of a legendary king. But this is no ordinary Viking. He's different, driven by an insatiable thirst for fame and fortune. He leads his band of brothers across the seas, raiding and pillaging, his name striking terror into the hearts of his enemies. Their journey takes them to the shores of Northumbria, a kingdom in the heart of England, and their target, the magnificent Lindisfarne, a place of worship revered as a treasure trove of gold and jewels. But defending the holy site are King Aella and his thanes, fierce warriors ready to give their lives for their king and their faith. As the two armies clash, the battle rages. Swords flash, shields are broken, and the ground is soaked with the blood of warriors. The Northumbrians fight like cornered wolves, but against the disciplined Vikings, they're overwhelmed. One by one, Ella's thanes fall, their cries echoing the lament of a dying breed. Finally, Ella himself is captured, brought before Ragnarok, who offers him a choice, death by the sword or a fate worse, the slow death by blood eagle. Ella chooses the latter, and Ragnarok honors his choice, cutting open his ribs and letting his lifeblood flow out, painting the ground a macabre shade of red. Word of Ragnarok's victory at Lindisfarne spreads like wildfire, reaching the ears of King Horik of Denmark. Horik, impressed by Ragnarok's audacious spirit, offers him a chance to join him on a grander scale, a raid on the heartland of the Frankish Empire. But Ragnarok has his eyes set on even greater prizes, and he declines Horik's offer, setting his sights on the legendary treasure of King Solomon. With dreams of unimaginable wealth, he assembles a fleet of longships, each one a predator poised to strike. Among them is a unique vessel, the Serpent's Tooth, a massive ship with a dragon-head prow, symbolizing the ferocity of the Vikings. On board are warriors from far-off lands, united by their thirst for adventure and loot. As the fleet sets sail, the North Sea mirrors their ambition, stretching before them like a path to the stars. They sailed for weeks, guided by the stars and the whispers of the wind, until they reached the shores of the Frankish kingdom. The time had come for Ragnar Lothbrok to etch his name in blood and gold. Do you want to know more about the brutal battles of the Viking Age? Click here and let the saga continue. It's a truth universally acknowledged that Vikings liked to smash things, preferably while yelling a lot. But have you ever considered the things they smashed and why? Take, for instance, the great Viking raid on the English monastery of Lindisfarne in the year 793. It was one of the first of their kind to hit Christian Europe, and it sure as hell wasn't the last. Picture a cold dawn, you on the deck of a longship, the restless sea under a gray sky. The wind rips your hair, and the scent of salt and tar fills your nostrils. You are a Viking warrior, one of many. Your hands grip an oar as you pull, stroke after stroke, the rhythm of the waves a constant lull. Your destination, Lindisfarne, a holy island off the coast of Northumbria, its monastery a beacon of wealth and faith. Wealth. You've heard tales of the treasures within those hallowed halls, and your mind, much like the sea, is as restless as the waves crashing against the ship's hull. The raid itself is swift and brutal, a shock of violence in the tranquility of a morning mass. You watch from the deck as your comrades swarm the shore, their axes held high. The monks, caught off guard, have no defense against the onslaught. Their pleas for mercy, echoing the cries of the gulls overhead. The dragon-carved prow of your ship slices through the waves. In the distance, the smoldering ruins of Lindisfarne. A sense of awe, perhaps even regret, washes over you. In this moment of triumph, you can't help but wonder about the futility of it all. As the sun dips below the horizon, painting the sky in hues of blood orange and bruised purple, you haul your sorry carcass back onto the ship. With you are the spoils of war, sacks of gold and silver, jewels that were once part of a grander whole, now just baubles and trinkets. The weight of your haul feels heavy, not just in your arms, but in your heart. You are a Viking warrior, and your raids have always been about more than just plunder. They're about sending a message, striking fear into the hearts of those who've never known the touch of fear themselves. But here, in the aftermath of Lindisfarne, something feels different. The fire that had roared within you now flickers, casting long shadows that dance in the flickering lamplight. The chronicles will record your deeds with both fear and awe, but you know the true cost of that awe. For in the depths of your soul, you, a Viking warrior, feel the stirring of something new, a seed of respect planted in the fertile ground of your courage. This is more than just a raid. This is a moment that will echo through history, a testament to the complexities of a people whose fierceness was matched only by their curiosity, a curiosity that led them not just to plunder, but to wonder, to question, and to evolve. And you, my friend, are a part of that story. Your ship cuts through the waves, a sleek and deadly serpent, its head adorned with the figure of a fearsome dragon. For weeks you've sailed following the guidance of the stars and the whispers of the wind, subsisting on the meager rations of dried meat and hardtack the endless horizon, broken only by the rolling waves and the occasional cry of a gull. There is little to be seen except the endless gray of the sea and sky, a fitting backdrop to the grim determination that has brought you here. You have come to Lindisfarne, an island off the coast of England, a place steeped in Christian lore and rumored to be filled with untold riches. Your leader, a renowned warrior named Ivar Ragnarsson, son of the legendary Viking leader Ragnar Lothbrok, has set his sights on the island's famed monastery, a place of learning and prayer. But the monks who dwell there are said to be peaceful men, more concerned with their faith than with worldly possessions. As you approach the shore, your heart pounds in your chest like a war drum. This is it, the moment you've trained for, the moment for which you've risked life and limb. With a fierce shout, Ivar leads the charge, his battle cry echoing across the waves. Your fellow warriors respond with equal fervor, their voices rising in a mighty chorus that shakes the very foundations of the monastery. As one man, you leap from the ships, weapons raised high, ready to claim the riches of Lindisfarne for yourselves. But as you burst through the monastery gates, what do you see? The monks are unarmed, their hands raised in a gesture of peace. Their leader, a man of God, steps forward, his eyes filled with sadness, not anger. He speaks to you in a language you understand, offering you gold, not as a gift, but as a ransom for the lives of his men. What do you do? Do you honor the sanctity of the monastery and the peaceful ways of its monks? Or do you follow in the footsteps of history and claim the riches of Lindisfarne for yourself? The choice, as always, is yours. Thank you for watching, and see you in the next episode. The wind is your only company, save for the cries of gulls and the endless whisper of the waves. But even in this vast emptiness, you are not alone. For beneath the waves, unseen, unheard, something stirs. A vast, slumbering thing that dreams of krakens and drowned men. It rises with the dawn, a coiling serpent of pure black water, slick as oil and cold as the grave. Its eyes are two green pinpricks that pierce the gloom, and from its nostrils pour icy streams that sting like fire. And still you row. The monster's gaze sweeps across the deck, settling on you, and for a moment time stands still. Then, with a flick of its tail, it vanishes beneath the waves, leaving you trembling on the deck, drenched in the spray of its passing. Hope flickers like a candle in the wind. Perhaps it has not seen you. Perhaps it does not know you. Perhaps it does not care. You push the terror down, forcing yourself to keep to your task, rowing, hoping to outrun whatever fate the gods have in store for you. And as the sun climbs higher, the serpent's threat seems to fade, leaving only the endless rhythm of the waves and the ache of your muscles. But it is a false calm, for as you near the land, the serpent stirs again, rearing up from the depths, its black bulk blotting out the sun. And now it speaks, its voice the sound of grinding stones and rushing water, and it speaks of ancient things and nameless fears, of sunken cities and forgotten gods. It tells of a time before time when the world was young, and the gods walked among men, and of a great battle in the frozen north, where the serpent-esque kind was slain by the ice giants. But one, they say, escaped, fleeing to the deep waters, where it slumbers until now. For now the serpent stirs, rising up from the depths, its eyes fixed on the ship, its jaws agape, revealing rows upon rows of razor-sharp teeth. And as it lunges, you see your fate. For in its mouth, in its eyes, in its dripping jaws, you see only hunger. As Lindisfarne comes into view, the island rises from the mist. The gray stone cliffs seem to claw at the sky, stark and imposing against the turbulent sea. Perched atop a rise overlooking the beach, the monastery looks like a wounded animal, its stone walls modest and unassuming, its roofline low and narrow. Here and there, a lone figure moves between the buildings, going about some task or another. The monks tend to their sheep, their chants carried to you faintly on the wind. You beach the ships on the rocky shore, their hulls scraping and grinding like the bones of some great beast. The plan is simple. Strike before the monks can flee, take what you can, and vanish into the churning sea. Your shield is heavy on your arm, the leather thongs biting into your biceps. Your axe feels like a familiar weight at your side, its haft smooth and worn from years of use. The air smells of damp grass and the tang of salt. The only sounds are the soft tread of your boots on the dew-laden grass and the distant cry of a gull. The landing has been made. Now what? The raid begins with a rush, but let's linger not on the chaos, but on its purpose. The monastery, a place of parchment and prayer, holds treasures beyond your imagining. Golden chalices, silver crosses, books bound in jeweled covers. These are gathered quickly, stuffed into sacks, while the monks, some fleeing, some standing defiant, are swept aside. The clash is brief. Lives are lost, and the sanctity of the place is shattered. The chronicles later speak of horror, of a sacred place defiled, but to you this is survival. A chance to bring wealth home, to secure your family's future in a land where winter is cruel and the road to ruin is paved with good intentions. What began as a trickle of desperate men seeking shelter from the coming cold has turned into a surging flood. You are a river of humanity, all seeking to salvage something from the wreckage of a world undone. A world that in its dying throes seeks to pull you under. You are a cog in this vast machine, an instrument of war and pillage, of death and destruction. But even as the din of battle fades to a dull roar in your ears, even as the stink of blood and sweat and fear clings to you like a shroud, you press on. For what is a battlefield but a new beginning? What is a fallen foe but a stepping stone? You tell yourself that the world is ending, but what if it's merely changing? What if this is not the end, but the start of something new, something better? The old world is dying, but you are alive. And as long as you live, there is hope. Hope that flickers like a candle flame in the wind, threatened by every passing shadow, yet somehow endures. Hope that whispers to you in the quiet moments when the battle is joined, when the screams of the dying fill your ears, when the weight of the world seems poised to crush you, break you, bend you to its will. But you endure, and in that endurance you find a strange sort of peace. A peace that comes not from the absence of pain, but from the knowledge that you have endured far worse and lived to tell the tale. The longboats are ready, the warriors eager, the time is nigh. And as your fleet sets sail from the coast of Ireland, the motives for this raid upon the rich monastery on the island of Iona are as many as there are men in your fleet. Wealth, of course. Every warrior in your fleet hungers for gold, for the chance to plunder the treasures of the church. But glory, too, for this is a chance to be remembered, to have your deeds sung by skalds for all time. Some among you seek revenge, for tales of Christian kings encroaching on pagan lands have stirred resentment. And some see this as a test, a chance to prove courage under the watchful eyes of the gods. Yet as your ships approach the island, a lone monk standing on the shore, gesturing towards the approaching doom that awaits him and his brethren. What was it that drew you to this place? Was it the promise of riches beyond compare? Was it the lure of a mighty conquest? Or were you simply drawn here by the will of the gods? As the men of Iona fall back before your onslaught, leaving behind manuscripts half-written, their lives and their work in ruins, the island, once a place of learning and a warning to all who would threaten it. But in the midst of the sack, one man stands out. A lone monk, unarmed and unassuming, yet resolute in the face of certain death. He is Brother Aiden, the last survivor of the Iona manuscript. And he stands before you not as a victim, but as a symbol of all that you have destroyed. The treasures of the church may have been great, but at what cost? For every bar off a chest filled with gold, a lifetime of learning has been destroyed. And as your men cheer their mighty victory, they raise their voices to the sky. Let the gods have their due, for today we have proven ourselves worthy of our heritage, fierce, cunning, and bold. Let the bards sing our praises and the sagas tell our deeds, for we are the Vikings, and this is our story. But the silence that follows is deafening. In the wake of your victory, a single figure remains, Brother Aiden, the last of the monks of Iona, and in his hand, a single scroll, the sole survivor of the massacre. On it, the last words written before the flames consumed Iona. And as Brother Aiden unrolls the parchment, the words leap to life. They are the words of a prayer, a plea for mercy and understanding between the people of the book and the sons of the dragon. And as he reads, the Vikings close in, their faces a mixture of awe and confusion. For in that moment, they understand that they have not just plundered a monastery, they have extinguished a light of learning and peace. And the cost of that victory is a heavy one indeed. As you sail away, the longships heavy with plunder, the sea is calmer, the wind at your back. You look to the horizon, where home lies, and feel the weight of what you've done. The raid on Lindisfarne will mark the beginning of the Viking Age, a time when your people's ships will carve paths across Europe. Monks in distant lands will pen tales of terror, calling you wolves of the sea. But for now, you row in silence, the rhythm of the oars a steady pulse, the sea stretching endless before you. The gods, you hope, are pleased. Oh, to have been there at the dawn of it all, to have felt the icy North Sea spray on your face as you and your brothers set out to do what no one had done before, to have seen the terror your raids inspired, to have tasted the sweet mead of victory and the salt of the open sea, to have known the thrill of the unknown, the magic of the possible, to have been a Viking, to have lived a life of such freedom, such danger, such excitement. But let us turn from the sea to a quiet valley in Sweden, where a massive rune stone stands, its carvings whispering secrets we still strive to understand. Here in this secluded spot, a story unfolds, a story of a Viking's pride, his love, his longing. Here the earth is rich, the fields are green, the air is sweet with the scent of pine. And yet the Vikings came from the north, drawn by the promise of plunder, or perhaps the whisper of adventure. Here the Vikings came and carved their stories into stone, a testament to a brutal yet beautiful way of life. Look closely at the runes. Let their rough edges tell you of battles fought and lives lived on the edge of a sword. Here on the stone, a warrior stands proud, his axe raised high, his shield emblazoned with the symbols of his house. Around him, the saga of his life and loves, the joys and sorrows, the victories and defeats, all etched in stone for all time. He is gone now, his spirit returned to the earth, but his story remains, a whisper from the past, a reminder of the Vikings' enduring legacy. For over 1,000 years, they sailed the seas and carved their mark on the world. And here in this quiet valley, one Viking story lives on, a story of courage, of love, of loss, a story that echoes the saga of an entire nation. So come, stand with me among the whispering stones and feel the echoes of the past. Let the spirit of the Vikings fill you with their adventurous, their indomitable spirit, and let their legacy live on in your heart. In the heart of Sweden, nestled amidst whispering pines and ancient stones, lies a valley that echoes with the secrets of the Viking age. Here, the earth seems to remember a time when warriors and wizards roamed these lands, leaving behind relics of their existence. Among them, the most enigmatic is the Rack runestone, a silent sentinel that has stood the test of time. Imagine, if you will, a colossal slab of granite, its surface a canvas for the artists of a bygone era. This is no ordinary rock. It is a keeper of tales, a chronicler of history. Now close your eyes and let your mind travel back to the year 800. You find yourself in a clearing, bathed in the soft glow of an evening sun. Before you, the runestone, its weathered face a labyrinth of intricate carvings and cryptic runes. The Vikings, with their penchant for exploration and conquest, were known to have scoured these lands. And the Rack runestone, with its sprawling tales, offers a glimpse into their rich culture and traditions. Each rune, each symbol, each figure carved into the stone is a piece of a larger puzzle, a testament to the beliefs, values, and adventures of a people long gone. As you stand there contemplating the mysteries held within the stone, a sense of wonder fills you. Who were these people? What were their stories? And what secrets do they hold? The Rack runestone, with its sprawling tales, offers a glimpse into their rich culture and traditions. Each rune, each symbol, each figure carved into the stone is a piece of a larger puzzle, a testament to the beliefs, values, and adventures of a people long gone. The Vikings, with their penchant for exploration and conquest, were known to have scoured these lands. And as you continue to explore the runestone, you begin to piece together the fragments of a story. You see images of animals, perhaps symbols of strength and courage. You notice intricate patterns that may hold clues to ancient rituals or beliefs. And then there are the runes, the cryptic alphabet of the Vikings, each letter a potential key to unlocking a secret. But the Rack runestone is more than just a collection of symbols. It is a portal to a different time, a window into the soul of a vanished civilization. As you stand before it, you feel a connection to the past, a sense of awe and respect for those who came before. In the quiet of that ancient valley, you are reminded of the enduring power of human curiosity and the endless fascination with the unknown. For in the end, the Rack runestone is more than just a stone. It is a symbol of our shared human history, a reminder that we are all connected by an invisible thread that stretches back through the ages. Welcome to my channel. This is the Rack runestone, nearly 8 feet tall. It's the tallest and by far the most ornately carved runestone that has survived to this day. It was erected sometime in the 9th century, and its carvings are the longest runic inscription that we know of. Words that stretch across 5 sides of the stone, so intricate and precise that they can only be read with the aid of a special ultraviolet light. How did they carve these runes so perfectly? With tools of iron and steady hands, no doubt. But who are they? The rock monolith is located in southern Sweden, not far from the coast. You can see how the top of the stone is worn smooth by centuries of erosion, wind, and rain. The gray granite is speckled with flecks of quartz that catch the weak sunlight. In the 19th century, when it was first excavated, the site was a sheep pasture. A farmer discovered the rune stone in a field, half buried in the ground, and began to chip away at the earth to reveal the carving. What he found was unlike any other rune stone that had been uncovered before. Unlike simpler stones that mark graves or boast of deeds, this one is different. Its text weaves riddles and myths with references to obscure events long forgotten. It's as if the stone itself is speaking, but in a language only half understood. Scholars believe that the rock runa may have served as a boundary marker for a sacred grove, perhaps marking the entrance to a hidden burial ground or a place of pagan worship. Or maybe it was created to commemorate a Viking ship that set sail on a great voyage, never to return. We don't know for sure, because the truth is these runes are so cryptic that we can't be certain of their meaning. Each letter is beautifully carved with delicate lines and swirls, and together they form words that tell a story. A story of gods and monsters, of heroes and kings, of battles fought and victories won. It's a story that has been lost to time, but here it is, carved in stone for all of us to see. If only we could understand the language of the runes, then we would know exactly what it means. Until then, it's up to us to piece together the clues and solve the riddles of the rock runestone. Thank you for watching. If you like this video, please leave a thumbs up, and I'll see you next time. You find an ancient runestone, its surface covered in faded inscriptions. The runes begin with a memorial, or so it seems. They speak of a man named Vemund, though who he was remains unclear, a warrior, a father, a forgotten soul. But the inscription quickly shifts, spiraling into tales of kings and battles and gods. One passage hints at a hero named Theodoric, perhaps the legendary Gothic king, riding with warriors to a distant land. Another mentions a sacrifice, possibly to Odin, tied to a cycle of 9 generations. The words are dense, layered with allusions to sagas no longer sung. And as you stand before the stone, you can almost hear the voice of the carver, a skald weaving a story meant to endure beyond his lifetime. These mysterious stones are all that remain of an ancient culture, their secrets locked within their weathered grooves. But as you trace the lines with your fingertips, you feel a connection to the past, a whisper of the stories they tell. With each rune you decipher, you uncover a piece of the puzzle, a glimpse into a world long gone. This is a memorial to Wayland the Smith, a legendary craftsman and magician. But the inscription is cryptic, alluding to a magical horse and a battle with giants. You realize this is no ordinary stone. It's a key to a forgotten realm, a portal to the past. If only you could read the runes, you might unlock the secrets of this lost world. But you're not alone. A hooded figure approaches, their face obscured by a shadow. They, too, have come to the stone seeking knowledge. The inscription speaks of a hidden treasure, and they want your help finding it. Together, you might decipher the clues, overcome the challenges, and claim the prize. But beware, for there are those who would keep these secrets buried. Can you trust this mysterious companion, or will the darkness consume you both? As the sun sets casting long shadows over the ancient stones. You feel a sense of urgency. The hooded figure seems to be leading you on a chase through time. You must hurry if you hope to uncover the secrets of this forgotten realm before it is too late. The fate of two worlds rests on your shoulders, the past and the present. Will you rise to the challenge, or will the darkness consume you both? What will you do? Have you ever stumbled upon an ancient artifact and wondered, why did they make it? This one was found in a remote area. It's a large stone monolith that was raised by an unknown people thousands of years ago. Scholars have examined it, poked and prodded it, trying to figure out its purpose. But the truth is, nobody really knows, and the mystery only adds to its allure. There are a few theories about why this stone was raised all those years ago. Some say it was a memorial, not just for the great warrior Vamed, but for everyone from the village who had died. In the old days, stories were passed down orally, but as time went on, people began to forget the tales of their ancestors. So the villagers decided to honor their past by carving the stories into stone. That way, future generations would never forget. Others believe that this stone was used for rituals, a way to appease or even invoke the gods. Maybe it was Thor, the god of thunder, whose hammer protected the virtuous and punished the wicked. Or perhaps it was Odin, the god of wisdom, who was said to have sacrificed his eye to gain knowledge. The runes carved into the stone could be a spell to call upon the gods or a charm to ward off evil. We don't know for sure because the people who raised this stone are long gone and took their secrets with them. But that doesn't stop us from wondering. What is interesting is that this stone monolith was found near a church that was built hundreds of years later. Back then, it was common for people to build their houses of worship near ancient monuments. They saw the old stones as pagan relics, remnants of a time when people worshipped false gods. By building their churches nearby, the Christians were claiming that their new faith was stronger than the old. Imagine standing in front of this stone monolith with a crowd of people from your village. You've come here to hear the words carved into the stone read aloud under the open sky. The scent of wildflowers mixes with the bleating of sheep from a nearby pen. As the last rays of sun hit the horizon, you shiver, not from the cold, but from the feeling that you are part of something bigger than yourself, connected to the people who lived and died in this valley all those years ago. This place is a reminder that our connection to the past is not always clear. We may never know why this stone was raised or what secrets it holds. But that doesn't stop us from trying to understand it. After all, it's human nature to wonder about the past. We're all just trying to piece together the story of humanity. If you want to learn more about archaeology, stay tuned for more updates. Thank you for watching. When archaeologists first unearthed the rock runestone in the 1800s, they thought they'd found a Viking equivalent of the Rosetta Stone. The only problem is that nearly 150 years later, we still haven't deciphered it. But new research suggests that we may be on the right track. The rock runestone is covered in runes, an ancient Germanic alphabet. And those runes are written in a variety of styles. Some were common to older runes, others to newer runes. As if the person who carved was blending different traditions from across time, which might suggest it was carved in a time of cultural upheaval, like when the Vikings were converting to Christianity. But that's not the only fascinating thing about this stone. It also has a bunch of mysteries woven into it, like the number 12, which appears multiple times. The best guesses archaeologists have had so far is that it refers to 12 battles, or perhaps 12 months of the year. But a new paper, suggests there might be another way to understand it, as a coded message about a great calamity, a warning for future generations. Runologists have long noticed that the Rack runestone has a lot of what seem to be place names, but they can't agree on what they mean or where they are. Some scholars believe they could be real locations, while others think they're made up. But if they are made up, they may have been crafted specifically for this stone, and they may hold the key to understanding it. This new paper proposes that the Rack runestone isn't just a historical record. It's a story, a saga that fits in with other tales of heroism and tragedy that the Vikings were fond of. And like other sagas, it might be about a great warrior who went on an adventure, battled fearsome creatures, and ultimately met their demise. That might explain why the runestone has so many battles, and why it has survived for so long. People were probably reading it aloud at gatherings, just like they did with their favorite stories. But what about that mysterious number 12? Well, in some versions of the saga, 12 might refer to the hero's 12 companions, or even their 12 labors. There's also another tantalizing clue, a possible reference to a son's end, which could be either a literal or a metaphorical death. Maybe the hero dies and the sun goes out of existence, or maybe the sky is just clouded over, casting the world in darkness. But whether it's a warning from the past or a prophecy of the future, the rock runestone continues to baffle researchers. The truth is, without written records from the time, we're left with more questions than answers. So for now, we may never know exactly what the rock runestone means. But that hasn't stopped people from trying to unlock its secrets for almost 150 years. And maybe that's what makes it so compelling. We want to believe that there's a hidden meaning behind the runes, that the Vikings were more sophisticated than we give them credit for, that they believed in more than just one big horn of plenty. And maybe that's okay. Maybe we can all use a little bit of mystery in our lives. Thanks for watching this episode, and thanks to our supporters for making it possible. If you would like to help us make more videos like this, you can join our community on a crowdfunding platform. This is one of the most mysterious places in all of Britain. And what makes it so mysterious is this rock monolith here. Someone, many years ago, maybe 5,000 years ago, decided to carve this rock monolith. They carved these strange patterns and symbols into it. We don't know exactly what they mean, but archaeologists think it has something to do with the cycles of the sun and the moon and the seasons. But the real question is, how did they carve this thing? How did they get this huge rock monolith and carve all of these intricate designs into it? Well, we don't know for sure, but it was no small feat. I mean, just look at it. It's huge. It weighs several tons. And the people who lived here back then didn't have any heavy machinery, so they must have done it by hand. Imagine the carver, perhaps a priest or a poet, standing in this valley. His breath is visible in the cold air. He is chipping away at the granite with iron chisels. Each rune, each symbol is a deliberate act of memory, a way of preserving the culture and history of his people. The farmers and warriors and thralls around him watch with a mixture of awe and reverence. Some bring offerings of bread or mead to honor the work. The stone is placed high up on a natural rock. Its position is visible from afar. It's like a giant monolith from an ancient alien world. It's meant to be seen. It's meant to draw the eye and the mind. The inscriptions on the rock are cryptic and mysterious. They tell us that the people who lived here had a deep knowledge of the cosmos and a passion for storytelling. They loved to share their stories around the fire, and those stories were filled with adventure and magic and mystery. As I stand here looking at this rock monolith, I can't help but feel a sense of wonder and awe. I think about the people who lived here thousands of years ago, and the lives they lived, and the stories they told. I think about the carver standing in this very spot, chipping away at the rock and creating something that has lasted for all of these years. I think about the farmers and warriors and thralls who watched him work, and how they must have felt as they watched this huge rock monolith slowly take shape. And I can't help but feel a sense of connection to them, a sense of shared humanity. These are real people who lived real lives. They weren't just farmers and warriors and thralls. They were human beings just like us, trying to make sense of the world around them. They had hopes and dreams and fears. They laughed and loved and lost. They were human beings trying to understand the mysteries of life and death and the universe. And they left us this rock monolith as a reminder that we are not alone. And even in the darkest of times, there is always hope. There is always light. There is always the possibility of understanding. If you want to hear more stories like this, stay tuned. Thanks for listening. Do you feel that? Can you hear that? As the last rays of sunlight fade behind the towering pines, the wind whispers secrets through the ancient stones. Secrets held for centuries, only revealing themselves to those who stand before them in the fading light. This is the Rack Runestone, a silent sentinel guarding stories from a bygone age. The wind carries the faint sound of a nearby stream, a melody almost lost to the sighing trees. But it's the runes that truly captivate, etched into the stone as if to preserve whispers of the past. Their meanings dance on the edge of understanding, just beyond the reach of the twilight. Imagine standing here 1,000 years ago, a Viking on a mission. You've traveled far, your boat slicing through the waves, the wind catching your cloak as you lean into it, guiding you to this very spot. Here, beneath the watchful gaze of the pines, you see the Rake Runestone, its surface alive with ancient symbols. With each step closer, the stories it holds become more vivid, tales of gods and heroes, perhaps even warnings for the future. The weight of the past is heavy here, yet strangely comforting. For these stones are not just relics, their voices reaching across the chasm of time, seeking to be heard, to share their wisdom. But as the sun dips below the horizon, the shadows lengthen, twisting the shapes of the runes, making them harder to decipher. The stories, like the light, begin to fade, leaving you with more questions than answers. Who raised this monolith, and why? What tales did the runes tell to those who first gathered here? Were they of gods, of heroes, or of warnings for the future? The stone offers no easy answers, only questions that linger like the shadows of the pines. It's a stark reminder that the Viking world, though often painted in broad strokes of raids and conquest, was also a realm of deep thought, of philosophers and poets, of storytellers and stonemasons. Each rune carved with intention, each monolith a silent teacher. The Rack Runestone may not give us easy answers, but it does offer a profound invitation. It asks us to sit in the silence of its wisdom, to listen to the wind's whispers, and to ponder the mysteries of a time long past. And in that silence, we might just find echoes of our own stories, our own connection to the enduring legacy of the Vikings. Now, as the last embers of daylight fade away, leaving you in near darkness, the Rack Runestone stands as a silhouette against the darkening sky. The wind, it seems, has picked up, rustling the leaves of the ancient pines and causing the shadows of the runes to dance and flicker like flames. It's as if the spirits of the past are stirring, wanting to be seen, to have their stories told. The temperature drops, signaling the approach of night. The fire, now your only companion, casts dancing shadows on the surrounding trees. In this secluded clearing, surrounded by the ghosts of ancient whispers, you feel a sense of solitude, a feeling of being both connected to and utterly alone in the vastness of time. The great hall, timbers darkened by years of smoke and firelight, is your world. A shield wall of solid oak, it shelters your people from the icy breath of the north. Within its sturdy bounds, your warriors, traders and kin, find solace and sustenance, their laughter echoing like the song of the hall itself. You are a Viking chieftain, a jarl, presiding over a feast that binds your people together. The air is warm, heavy with the scent of roasted meat, honeyed mead, and burning pine. Outside, the wind whispers tales of distant raids and icy seas. But here, within the hall's embrace, there is only the warmth of hearth flames and the gleam of platters piled high with boar, salmon, and barley bread. Their surfaces shine in the flickering light, each curve and facet a testament to the bounty of the season and the skill of your people. Your warriors, faces still bearing the grime of battle, now relax, their postures open, their weapons laid aside. They, too, are part of this intricate dance, each man, woman, and child in their place, coming together to form a living tapestry of loyalty, strength, and cunning. For you, the chieftain, it is a delicate balance, a constant dance of give and take. To maintain the harmony of your people, you must be both strong and gracious, fierce and fair. Across from you, a young warrior, his arm raised in a drinking song, catches your eye. He is one of the new generation, eager to prove himself, to carve his name in the sagas. Beside him sits an elder, his beard flecked with silver, his gaze keen and knowing. He has seen much, this elder, and yet his spirit remains unbroken, his laughter as hearty as any. And then there are the women, their voices weaving through the hall, their presence a calming influence amidst the boisterous merriment. They, too, are part of the intricate dance, their roles multifaceted, their contributions vital. The feast is not merely a gathering of Vikings, united in their love of good food and good company. It is a microcosm of the Viking world, a reflection of their values, their traditions, and their unbreakable bonds. Here, in this great hall, the thrall finds respite from the icy grip of winter, from the constant struggle for survival. For now, there is only the warmth of the fire, the richness of the feast, and the deep satisfaction of a job well done. Welcome to the hall of the High Chieftain. Your day begins not with labor, but with ritual. You rise in a private chamber, its walls hung with furs and woven tapestries depicting sea voyages and battles. Servants, perhaps thralls like those we met earlier, bring you a basin of warmed water, scented with herbs to wash away the night's chill. Your clothing is fine wool, dyed deep blue or crimson, adorned with silver brooches and a belt of embossed leather. A heavy cloak, lined with fox fur, rests on your shoulders, its weight a reminder of your status. As you step into the hall, the scent of fresh rushes strewn across the floor mingles with the lingering smoke of last night's fire, grounding you in this space of authority. Before you, a great hearth, its stones carefully layered with mortar between them, ensuring no sparks could escape its confines. Above it a raised platform, your throne, where you will dispense justice and wisdom, occasionally interrupted by the bellows of war when the hall is filled with the din of battle, the clash of steel on steel echoing off the wooden walls. At your back, a large desk made of a single slab of oak, its surface scarred and polished by countless years of use. Here you will receive petitions and hold court. To one side, a heavy wooden door, its surface carved with intricate knotwork, conceals a passage to the solar, where you will dine with your family and guests. The other side, a bay window, its panes of glass set in a stone frame, looks out onto the courtyard, offering a view of the village beyond. In the morning light, the glass glistens like a shield, its surface reflecting the flames of the hearth and the fierce loyalty of your house. As the sun climbs higher in the sky, illuminating the dust motes dancing in the air, you hear the familiar sounds of your domain. The rhythmic clang of the blacksmith's hammer, the bleating of sheep from the pen, the distant cry of a hawk, each sound weaving together a tapestry of your kingdom. And as the shadows lengthen and the first stars begin to appear, you know that soon it will be time to don your armor and lead your people into the night. What will you do on your first full day as chieftain? Will you hunt with your warband in the forests to the north, where the trees are old and the prey is plentiful? Or will you sail to the west, where the open sea offers both peril and promise? Perhaps you will stay in the village, tending to your people's needs and strengthening the bonds of your kingdom. The choice, like so many in life, is yours. The feast you host tonight is no ordinary meal. It is a display of wealth and loyalty. The men and women who attend are not just guests. They are members of your clan, and they have come from all corners of your kingdom to be with you. For a week, your cooks have been preparing for this night, ensuring there will be enough food for every guest. The supplies for the feast were brought in on wagons 2 days ago and set up in the great hall. There is enough meat and cheese to feed an army, fresh venison, boar, and elk, salted and smoked fish from the north coast, honey cakes and loaves of bread still warm from the oven. As the first guest arrives, his boots crunching on the gravel path outside, his face ruddy from the cold, you rise to meet him. He is a warrior, his eyes keen, his step sure. He has come from a distant trade, bringing with him the silver arm rings that will be the mark of your clan's wealth. Each guest who arrives after him brings his own gift, a different one. Amber beads from the Baltic, finely crafted swords, furs from the northern tribes, or tapestries woven with images of old Norse gods. You receive each with a nod, your words measured, knowing every gesture is watched. The hall is large, its roof supported by pillars that reach towards the apex. A roaring fire is made in the hearth, its warmth chasing away the winter chill. As the last guest arrives, the men and women who have come with you from the city take their places around the table. Your seat is at the head of the table, a carved wooden chair draped with bear pelts. Its high back is etched with runes that invoke Thor's protection. On either side of you sit your closest advisors, men you have chosen for their wisdom and loyalty. Across from you, the chieftain of a neighboring clan sits with his people, a silent acknowledgement of the bond that unites you both. As the servants begin to serve the first course, you raise your horn in a toast to your guests, to their loyalty, and to the prosperity of your kingdom. The hall echoes with the sound of your voice as the men and women around you raise their horns in return. Tonight, you are surrounded by your people, your loyal subjects, and the finest warriors in the land. And for a moment, you feel a sense of pride and satisfaction that is worth more than all the gold and silver in the world. A feast fit for a king, or in this case, a thrall. Welcome to my channel. Today, we are serving up a Viking feast fit for a king, or in this case, a thrall. The food is abundant, a stark contrast to the thrall's meager porridge. Servants carry in trays of roasted meats, their juices sizzling as they're carved. Loaves of bread, warm from the oven, are piled high alongside bowls of stewed apples and creamy skyr, a fermented milk rich with tang. Mead flows freely, its honeyed sweetness warming the throat, poured from pitchers adorned with silver. The sensory richness envelops you. The crackle of the fire, the gleam of candlelight on polished horns, the soft murmur of a skald reciting a saga of your ancestors' deeds. It's a moment of unity, but also of strategy. As the great hall echoes with laughter and the clinking of horns, you find yourself seated between a jarl and a thane, your influence growing with each passing moment. Across the table, a young woman with flowing red hair catches your eye. Could she be the one? And now for the main course, a boar roasted to perfection, its skin glistening, its tusks bared in a silent snort. A feast of venison, elk, and reindeer follows, each dish more sumptuous than the last. The air is filled with the aroma of fresh herbs and spices, cinnamon, cloves, and ginger, a reminder of the exotic lands your ancestors once explored. But it's the company that makes the feast truly memorable. Lords and ladies, warriors and bards, all gathered here in celebration. You raise your horn to toast the king, your loyal subjects, and to your own reflection, your journey from a nobody to somebody. As the evening progresses, the mood turns to merriment. A contest is announced, a test of strength and skill. The crowd cheers as you step forward to take part, eager to prove yourself worthy of the feast, worthy of the kingdom. And then it's time for the grand finale, a magnificent Yuletide goat, its antlers crowned with holly and ivy. The entire hall rises to its feet, singing carols and drinking to the season of giving. You feel a tap on your shoulder and turn to see the woman from earlier, a playful smile on her lips. She leads you in a dance around the hall, and for a moment, the world outside the feast, the worries and the wars, they all fade away. This is your host. Thank you for joining me today for a Viking feast. May your halls be merry and your enemies vanquished. Until next time, Skall. The chieftain's daughter is getting married. There are celebrations going on for 3 days, with feasts and dancing. And as the chieftain, it's your job to make sure everyone leaves as friends. That includes the rival clan that showed up with 200 men. It's a delicate dance, keeping everyone happy, especially when there are so many eyes watching you. The fate of your people may depend on it. Welcome to Northgard, son of the legendary Viking Ivar Ragnarsson. Your father was a great leader, but his death left a power vacuum. Now rival clans are vying for control, and it's your job to stop them from tearing Northgard apart. Will you be able to keep the peace, or will your enemies destroy you? As chieftain, your role is more than host. You are a weaver of alliances, a keeper of peace among warriors whose ambitions simmer beneath their laughter. You listen as a trader speaks of markets in Burka. He wants your favor so he can prosper in your kingdom. A young warrior boasts of a recent raid, his eyes seeking your approval. You offer praise, but your mind is sharp. A poorly chosen word could spark a feud. A generous gift could bind a man to you for life. The hall is your stage, the feast your tool, each act deliberate in a world where power is fragile. Beware the rivals who lurk in the shadows, eager to test your mettle. They seek to sow discord and claim Northgard for themselves. Can you outwit and outmaneuver them? Will you forge strong alliances, or will you be left broken and defeated? Only you can decide the fate of your people and the future of Northgard. So choose your words wisely, young chieftain. Every decision you make will have consequences. Will you be remembered as a great leader, or will your legacy be lost to time? The fate of Northgard rests in your hands. Are you ready to lead your people to greatness, or will you fail them? The choice is yours. Now let the feast begin. Raise your horn high, chieftain, and let the music play. For 3 nights and 4 days we celebrate. But behind the revelry, watchmen stand ready, for even in joy there is danger. A careless word, a drunken brawl, a stolen glance, a viper's tooth. In this night of revelry, all it takes is one spark. So keep a close eye on your guests. A small price to pay for a prosperous trade and a powerful ally. But remember, chieftain, your true power lies in wisdom and foresight. Use your influence to shape the course of the kingdom. Make shrewd alliances and outmaneuver your rivals. Only then can you hope to thrive in this unforgiving world. The fate of Northgard hangs in the balance. Will you rise to the challenge, or will you fall before you even begin? The choice, my friends, is yours. Welcome to Valhalla, mighty Jarl. Your warriors have returned from battle, bearing gold and glory. And now the great hall echoes with the laughter of heroes and the clash of tankards. But even in this warmth, tension lingers. Outside, the wind howls, a reminder of the harsh land you rule. Rival Jarls may eye your wealth, their longships waiting in distant fjords. The gods, too, demand your attention. Offerings of mead and meat were made to Freyr for prosperity, but omens are uncertain. A raven circled the hall at dusk, its cry unsettling your seer. You host this feast not just for men, but for the unseen forces that shape your fate. The skald's voice rises, his tale now of Odin's wisdom, and you feel the weight of leadership, a balance of strength and cunning, generosity and control. For what is a king without his court? You have chosen wisely, we see, with each noble here advancing your interests and those of the realm. Your queen sits by your side, a steady presence, her lineage a source of pride, and her spirit a well of strength. By her, your heir, a bright spark of the future, eager to please and keen to learn. May the gods grant them long life and wisdom. But the past is never far from the mighty, are they not? A hush falls over the hall as a grizzled warrior approaches, his armor bearing the scars of countless battles. He has served you well, this one, and now seeks only to share stories around the hearth. Good. Let him speak, for in those tales lie both wisdom and warning. The young warriors here can learn much from the old, as you, O mighty Jarl, have learned from your ancestors before you. Thus we see the foundations of Valhalla, the seat of your power, the loyalty of your court, the sagas of your people, all converging in this moment. Here in the heart of winter, you thrive. Here spring will come again. The raven's cry takes on a new meaning. The feast is a boon to the gods. The mead flows like the blood of the slain. Odin's wisdom echoes in the hearts of all. Even the wind outside the hall seems to carry the promise of a new day. For you, Jarl, the balance is good. But remember, the gods are ever watching. The sagas are yet unwritten. The winds of change can rise in the coldest of winters. The fire sputtered, sending sparks spiraling up the chimney and painting flickering shadows on the wall. The great hall was slowly emptying. Some of the warriors had retired to their chambers long ago, while others were sprawled on benches, their eyelids heavy with drink and dreams of battle. Their voices had trailed off to murmurs, their songs and shouts replaced by the soft lapping of mead on the table. You leaned back in your chair, the sturdy oak a comforting weight against your tired limbs. Your cloak, still warm from the evening's festivities, offered a pleasant contrast to the creeping chill of the night. The feast had gone well. Bonds had been strengthened, rivalries eased, and your name burnished in the hearts and minds of your people. But tomorrow the world would wait. There were trade routes to secure, warriors to train, and gods to appease. For now, though, you let the hall's warmth cradle you like a mother's arms, the steady pulse of its life lulling you toward rest. You had entered the hall as a guest, but you would see it through till the end, not for the sake of ceremony or duty, but because some instinct deep within you, some atavistic memory, compelled you to linger by the fire. You weren't sure how long you stayed there, wrapped in the hall's embrace, letting its warmth chase away the shadows in your limbs and the hollowness in your heart. Time had a way of losing its meaning in places like this, where the past echoed in the stones, and the future was nothing but a whisper on the wind. When you finally rose to leave, the hall was silent, the fire banked low, the embers glowing like dying stars. The warriors slept, their armor discarded, their weapons forgotten. Even the servants had retreated to their quarters, leaving you alone in the vast emptiness. You walked slowly, your steps echoing on the stone floor, past the sleeping forms of the warriors, each a monument to courage and strength, their chests rising and falling with each peaceful breath. As you made your way through the silent hall, you couldn't help but feel a sense of pride, a fierce love for these men who were yours by blood and by choice. They were the shield that guarded your people, the sword that protected your realm. And you, their king, would see them safely through the coming dawn. You reached the hearth and knelt beside the dying fire, its warmth seeping into your bones. The hall was empty, yes, but it was also full of the memories forged in the crucible of battle, full of the laughter and camaraderie that had echoed within these four walls, full of the hopes and dreams of a people who refused to be cowed by darkness. As the night deepened and the shadows grew longer, you felt a profound stillness settle over you, a peace that was more precious than any victory, any treasure. In this moment of quiet triumph, you knew that you were not just a king, you were a beacon, a symbol of resilience and unity for your people. And as long as you stood by their side, they would never fall. And so we leave the Viking world behind, the thralls' frozen fields, the longships slicing through stormy seas, the runestone's cryptic whispers, and the chieftain's glowing hall. It was a world of struggle and splendor. Every life there was shaped by the land, the sea, and the gods. You lived it fully, fiercely, and now it's over. Let the echoes of that life fade like waves retreating from a rocky shore. The hardships of the thrall, the ambition of the raider, the mystery of the stone, the power of the feast, they belong to the past. A distant tapestry woven with human endurance and dreams. Dreams like those of a young chieftain, a shield against the dark, a legacy to forge in the fires of a bygone age. You chased your destiny across the frozen north, seeking a lost ancestral home among the endless white plains. Your heart beat with the rhythm of drums echoing the strength of the earth beneath your feet, and the pulse of adventure in your veins. Each sunrise was a new challenge, each sunset a story waiting to be told around a crackling fire. You raised your voice in song, a tribute to fallen comrades under a sky ablaze with the northern lights. You carved your name into a weathered stone, a silent prayer carried on the wind across the sea. Your spirit soared with the sleek longships cutting through the waves, tasting freedom with every mile. The salty spray of the ocean, the creak of oars, the laughter of companions, the thrill of the chase, all a part of your saga written in the very stars above. But sagas end and new ones begin. It's time to close this chapter, to turn the final page, to let the ink of your story dry. Rest now, brave adventurer. Let the peace of ages past wash over you. Feel the soft earth beneath your head, the gentle grass, a blanket overhead. Let the stars, those silent, distant fires, be your only light. Let dreams of home and hearth, of loved ones and laughter, fill your slumber. For even heroes must lay down their arms, their battles fought, their victories won. Your spirit, a flickering flame, will burn bright in the halls of Valhalla, waiting for a new dawn, a fresh wind, a whispered call to adventure. Picture the fjords one last time, their waters calm under a starry sky, the mountains standing silent watch. The Viking Age, with all its trials and triumphs, has long since drifted into history, but its stories linger, soft as a lullaby. Let your mind wander, carried by the rhythm of those lives, toward a place of rest. The world is quiet now, the fire low, the wind a gentle sigh. Here in this secluded haven, nestled between the mountains and the sea, we find solace from the chaos of the world. The weight of the day, it lifts, it seems, and weariness finds its answer in the soft embrace of evening. Sleep now, dear traveler, and let the whispers of the past rock you to slumber. The Viking Age may be done, but its spirit, its essence, it lives on in the hush of the night. Close your eyes and imagine the rugged shores of a bygone era, where tales of bravery and adventure echoed through the mists of time. Feel the soft grass beneath you, smell the wildflowers, hear the distant call of a lone bird. Here in this tranquil retreat, far from the clamor of the crowds, we are enveloped by the magic of a simpler time. The worries of the world, they fade into the twilight, leaving only peace and the promise of dreams. Oh, the fjord sleeps now, its surface a mirror to the star-studded sky. And mountains stand guard, their peaks touching the heavens. And we are part of this timeless moment, connected to the past, present, and future in a way that only this place can offer. The ancient wisdom of the Vikings, it resonates within these majestic landscapes, a reminder of the strength and resilience of the human spirit. As the fire crackles merrily, casting dancing shadows around us, we find comfort in its warmth, just as our ancestors did in their time. For here in this sacred space, we are not merely tourists, we are guests. Guests of a legacy that has stood the test of time, a legacy that invites us to dream, to explore, and to discover. With every gentle breeze that caresses our faces, we feel the presence of those who came before us, their stories mingling with the wind. Sleep well, dear traveler, and let the echoes of history lull you into a deep slumber. Here in the heart of the fjords, where nature's grandeur meets the whispers of the past, we find peace. A peace that envelops us like a warm blanket, a peace that allows our souls to wander freely. So close your eyes, release your burdens, and surrender to the rhythm of this ancient land. For in this place of timeless beauty, we are home. The year is 1298. Imagine you are a young woman named Isabella, living in a small village in France. Your days are filled with the familiar routine of cooking, cleaning, and taking care of your small farm animals. Life is peaceful until it isn't. You and your family fall gravely ill with the plague. The illness rips through your community like a storm, leaving death and despair in its wake. And when it passes, it leaves you alone. Now, you must navigate not only the grief of losing your family, but also the harsh realities of a world that fears your touch. You have become a social outcast, an unwanted member of society. The villagers, consumed by their own fears, believe that you, a survivor of the plague, are cursed. They call you a bringer of death, a living corpse. They demand that you leave their sight, that you vanish from their lives. And so, carrying nothing but a thin blanket and the clothes on your back, you leave your home behind, wandering from village to village, hoping for understanding, but finding only rejection. Where can you go? Who will accept you? With no prospects and no resources, you stumble upon a church, seeking perhaps a moment of peace, or maybe even some charity. But instead, you find work. The church, ever vigilant against the spread of disease, offers you a deal. They will allow you to stay within their grounds if you agree to take care of the church and its gardens. It's a proposition that offers safety in exchange for service, a chance at normalcy in the midst of an abnormal existence. Do you accept this offer? Your eyelids feel heavy as you wake, the kind of heavy that comes from sleeping on damp straw and earth. You try to turn onto your side, but the movement sends a jolt of pain through your hand, a dull, persistent ache that's your constant companion. You remember when it started, the fever, the chills, the relentless cough that shook your frame. You remember the whispers in the marketplace, the panicked crossing of the street, the slam of the door in your face. You were a cooper by trade, your hands rough and strong from years of working with wood, your face weathered but kind. You were a fixture in the village, known for your hearty laugh and the warmth of your bread oven. But now your hands are wrapped in rough linen, your face hidden beneath a hood. You are a leper, an outcast in the 13th century. France, the year is 1250, and your body bears the marks of a disease that has changed your life forever. You push back the linen, revealing hands gnarled and twisted, fingers like crooked branches. The right one hurts more, always more. You remember the right one more than the left because you use it less. Since the start of this illness, you haven't touched another soul. Not willingly, anyway. Fear is a heavy cloak, and the villagers wear it well. You don't blame them. What could they possibly want with a rotting corpse like you? Who would want to touch a leper? You pull on your tunic, a rough woolen garment that smells faintly of wood smoke and lavender. It was a gift from a traveling merchant, a reminder of the life you once lived, before the fever, before the whispers, before you became a monster. A life that feels as distant as a dream. Outside, the wind whispers through the trees, carrying with it the scent of a nearby stream and the faint sound of a hammer. Working on the same rock you've been sitting on for what seems like hours, you trace patterns in the dirt with a stick. A small bird lands on the rock, hopping closer until it's practically perched on your shoulder. You don't flinch. You've shared this rock with countless sparrows, and they've never seemed to mind. You imagine flying like that bird, soaring above the trees and the houses, above the fear and the pitying looks, above it all. Just for a moment, you can almost feel the wind beneath your wings. But it's just a dream. And when you open your eyes, there is only the rough bark of the tree, the rougher bark of your own disease. Another day begins, another day of watching the other villagers go about their lives, another day of being the monster in the shadows, another day of hoping for a miracle that won't come. The sun climbs higher in the sky. You stand and stretch, your joints protesting. It's time to return to the colony, to the hovel you share with 4 other outcasts, to the life that's become your prison. The gate to the village is just a suggestion, a weathered piece of wood set into the stone wall. No one guards it anymore. No one has dared venture into the leprosy colony in years. No one except you. You walk through the trees, your steps slow and measured, your head bent against the wind, letting the forest be your sanctuary, if only for a while. The scent of pine needles fills your nostrils, and the dappled sunlight paints shifting patterns on the ground. For a few precious moments, you are at peace. The wind whispers secrets through the tall grass, secrets of a world that was and a world that could be, secrets that beckon from beyond the hill, just out of sight, just beyond the reach of your calloused hands. Each morning you rise with the dawn, the pale light filtering through gaps in the hut's walls. The air is cold, carrying the faint scent of wood smoke from distant hearths, fires you'll never sit beside. Your clothes are coarse, patched wool, stiff with dirt, offering little warmth against the morning chill. You pull them on, each movement a testament to years of solitude, each crease and fold a map of the life you've left behind. You walk, your pace slow and measured, your eyes fixed on the path ahead. The bell you carry jingles softly, its clapper worn smooth by countless tolls, a warning to those who might stumble upon you, a plea to be left alone. The sound is faint but constant, a reminder of the distance that separates you from the world, a world that bustles with life, merchants calling, children laughing, lovers whispering sweet nothings under the shade of ancient trees. You exist on the margins of that life, unseen, unheard, a ghost haunting the edges of the village. The sun climbs higher in the sky, casting long shadows that stretch and warp like the gnarled roots of an old oak. You walk on, your gaze unwavering, your steps echoing the rhythm of a life once lived, a life that beat in time with the pulse of the world. Now the world moves on without you, and you move on with the world. The path forks, one way leading deeper into the heart of the village, the other disappearing into the dense undergrowth. You hesitate for a moment, the memory of choice flickering within you, then vanishing like smoke in the wind. You turn onto the overgrown path, the undergrowth closing behind you, sheltering you from the curious eyes of the world. Here the air is cooler, the sounds of the village fading into a distant hum. The trees stand tall and silent, their branches forming a canopy overhead. You walk on, enveloped by the stillness, the weight of solitude pressing down on you like a shroud. And as the day wanes, you reach your destination, a weathered stone monolith half hidden by creeping vines. Here, at the end of your solitary journey, the world's worries seem to melt away, leaving only the echo of your own footsteps and the whisper of the wind through the grass. For in this place of faded memories and whispered secrets, you find a fleeting glimpse of peace, a stolen moment of tranquility before the night descends and the shadows grow long. Your day is spent in quiet labor, tending a small garden just beyond the wire fence that surrounds the colony. You coax reluctant herbs and roots from the stubborn soil, your fingers numbed by the lingering effects of the disease you were cured of. Fumble with a wooden spade. The earth is cold and heavy beneath your touch. The work is slow, the harvest meager, but it's a necessity. Your survival, and that of the others, depends on what you can grow or beg. The colony provides you with a small plot of land and a few tools, a rusty scythe, a broken rake, a cracked watering can. You repair them as best you can, for without them, you are even more useless here. At the edge of your plot, a rough stone marks the boundary between the cultivated land and the wild. Beyond it, thistles, weeds, and other hardy plants grow. Closer to the fence, a few vegetables have been growing. Carrots, potatoes, cabbages, their stunted growth a testament to the poor soil and the lack of care they've received. You tend them as well, pulling up weeds and loosening the hard-packed earth around their roots. For the most part, the work is solitary. Others in the colony come and go, their faces drawn and haggard, their eyes distant. They rarely speak, and when they do, their words are clipped and to the point. Many are skilled laborers, their usefulness defined by what they can produce or fix. There's little need for your particular skills here, and so you are mostly left to your own devices. In the early morning, before the sun has a chance to warm the earth, you pull out stubborn weeds, their roots tenacious and their presence unwanted. You dream of tearing up the fences, letting the wild plants reclaim the land, but it's only a dream. The colony needs you to keep the wild at bay. It needs you to be its gardener. By midday, the sun climbs higher in the sky, the light filtering through the trees and onto your weathered hands. You rest, taking a stolen moment for yourself, for no one is watching. You close your eyes, listening to the wind rustling through the leaves, and you breathe deeply, tasting the damp earth and the faint, sweet smell of clover. As the day progresses, the colony comes to life with activity. People move about their business, their voices carrying on the wind. You watch a young boy skip rope, his laughter echoing in the stillness. A woman kneels beside a vegetable patch, her hands moving deftly among the plants. An old man sits on a low stone wall, his eyes closed in apparent prayer. For a moment, you feel connected to them, part of something larger than yourself, and you are content. When the sun begins its slow descent, you finish your work, your hands calloused and aching. You gather your tools and return to your hut, a small, sturdy structure made of wood and stone. Inside, a fire sputters in the hearth, its flames licking at the blackened ceiling. You add fuel to the fire, and as the room slowly fills with warmth, you unbutton your coat, shedding it on the floor beside your bed. You eat alone, perched on a stool and crouched beside your small fire, which struggles to banish the dampness that clings to the walls and seeps into your bones. The taste of coarse barley and the faint bitterness of herbs linger on your tongue. It's a meager meal, but it's enough, for now you are full. You are alive, and in this moment, that is all that matters. In the dead center of this forsaken place, a lone figure stands amidst the ruins of a crumbling world. Lepers in the shadows, their faces hidden behind their hoods, shuffle slowly past. Words are scarce here. Grief and weariness take away the strength to speak. And so you walk among these men and women of all ages, all marked by the same affliction, all carrying the same burden of a life left behind. The church taught that leprosy was God's punishment, a sign of sin. Though you may not believe that, it doesn't change the fact that the villagers see you as an outcast, a being shunned by God and therefore by them as well. Their eyes look away when they see you coming. Priests offer their prayers from afar, and even the wind seems to avoid you, whistling past the crumbling walls of the colony as if it too is afraid to touch you. There are moments, though, when the silence is broken. A cough echoes through the courtyard, drawing unwanted attention. A sob escapes a huddled figure, unable to contain their sorrow. And when the new moon hangs heavy in the night sky, casting long shadows that stretch and warp like the afflicted hands of the lepers, you hear the sound of a lone wolf howling in the distance. It's a mournful cry that speaks of loss and isolation, a lament that resonates with the unspoken grief that binds you to this forsaken place. The full moon brings little change. Dawn breaks over the horizon, painting the sky with hues of gray and purple. As the first rays of sunlight touch your skin, you feel the familiar sting of pain and the searing heat of shame. Oh, how you long to escape this prison of flesh, to be free of the torment that has become your existence. But as the sun climbs higher in the sky, its light only serves to highlight the despair that surrounds you. As the day drags on, the silence returns, bringing with it the crushing weight of solitude. You are not alone in your suffering, yet you feel utterly alone. Where God's touch is feared, and the whispers of the wind carry more sorrow than words can say, where every shadow seems to mock your pain, and every ray of sunlight brings a fresh wave of agony. This colony, a tomb of silence and suffering, is your new home. The worst part of having leprosy is not the fear of dying. Leprosy is slow, and you may live for years, so you have time to prepare. But it's the fear of further loss. The disease creeps forward, numbing your toes and fingers, stealing sensation until all you feel is the ache of your joints strained by labor. When I came down with the fever, I knew I had only one shot at making it out alive. I took that chance, and now I'm here, though the cost was everything I ever loved. The colony offers no physicians, only herbal remedies passed between its residents, salves of mint and willow bark, their scents sharp but fleeting. They do not cure the wasting sickness, but they dull the pain enough to let a person function, to let a person work. Some days I walk to the nearby stream. Its waters are icy against my skin, but the cold is a welcome bite. There I wash my bandages, the water swirling around me, erasing the smells of sweat and decay. The sound of the current is a rare moment of peace. It never changes, steady and unyielding, just like the rock monoliths that surround us on all sides. I pull the soaked cloth tighter around my leg, the cold seeping into my bones. The fever comes in waves, each one more punishing than the last. At first it was just a cough, then the shakes, and now this, a deep ache in my bones that makes it hard to move, hard to breathe. Each morning I wake up hoping it will be better, that the numbness in my limbs will lessen, that the strange, heavy feeling in my chest will lift. But the colony is full of those who have lost hope, who have lost something to the fever. Old Silas, he lost his sight. Now he sits by the fire all day, muttering to himself. Martha, she lost her son. She wanders the hills, screaming his name into the wind. And Esther, she lost her voice. You can see the words, but you can't hear them. Will I lose myself to this too? Will I lose everything? I walk back to the settlement, pulling my thin blanket tighter around my shoulders. As the sun dips below the horizon, we gather together around the fire, the only light in the vast darkness, the only sound in the chilling quiet, the steady crackle of burning branches and the murmur of voices raised in song. Maybe it won't be so bad to die here, to become another face in the crowd, another nameless shade. Maybe in death there is peace.